There is a group of New Yorkers where 78% of them cannot afford to live in New York City. We're going to talk about who that group is in a second, but first, what happened? Mamdani just unveiled a plan to lift the blindfold off a severely colorblind system. And what's underneath it is exactly what people knew was always there. They just got the evidence now. For much of the city's history, its agencies didn't have to track outcomes based on race. The Housing Authority didn't have to track whether black applicants were getting affordable units at the same rate as white applicants. Health Department didn't have to post side-by-side mortality rates by race and by neighborhood. And agencies operated in their own silos. They didn't have to share data. So there was no cross-agency picture of how things were moving, how housing affected crime, affecting gentrification in an area. And without that data, systemic disparities could just continue. And there was no official mechanism to even name them until now. In New York City right now, the median net worth of white households is $276,000. The median net worth of black households are $18,000. That is a 15-to-1 gap. And it's happening in the most progressive city in the country. Life expectancy in the South Bronx is nearly a decade lower than it is in Lower Manhattan, and black maternal mortality is severely higher than its white counterparts. This is evidence of policies that are discriminatory in its outcome, but the preliminary racial equity plan that New York City is actioning on is going to change that. For the first time, it requires, not encourages, requires all major 45 city agencies to report, examine, and track the outcomes of its policies on races. It covers 7 areas: children and family, the economy, housing, infrastructure, health, community safety, and in governance. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, immediately and explicitly, it calls for pay equity across city jobs, anti-racism training for city staff, to be more aware and culturally sound, and importantly, a racial equity review of every housing plan as it's proposed. That unlocks real accountability. With this data, Housing Authority has to answer questions about the gap in home ownership between black people and white people, why it's narrowing or why it's widening. The Health Department will have to track and measure maternal mortality rates and set goals against them. Before this plan, those questions didn't have to be answered. Those policies didn't have to be put in place. And what we have is the reality that we live in now. Remember that group I told you 78% of them can't afford to live in New York City? Hispanic people. They are not alone in this. 66% of black people can't afford to live here either. 62% of Asian people can't afford to live here. 44% of white people cannot afford to live in New York City. Again, all based on this true cost of living measure. With numbers like this, it's impossible to ignore. The affordability crisis has a demographic shape to it. This plan that we are enacting is to make government see and acknowledge that shape and to do something about it. Now, here's what matters right now. This plan is just a preliminary plan. There is a 30-day public comment window, and you need to get involved. It started April 6th. What you need to do is to submit your comments on this plan. What do you think about the plan? Do you like it? Do you hate it? How can it improve? And you want to send those comments to nyc.gov/equity or email the Mayor's Office of Equity and Racial Justice at equity@cityhall.nyc.gov. And it works. Public comment windows historically have helped shape what the end result of policies are. Just ask the real estate lobby, who makes sure that they pay people to show up and submit to all of these when it comes to housing and budget approval and reviews. Remember, this is just a 30-day window. This does not stay open. If you live in New York City, this is important to you. This affects your life, and this is how you change it.